Does it matter if the theme song is like not too audible on my stream or?
I mean, the whole point of having an audio podcast is so that we can edit the audio in post and then release a higher quality product. So,
Oh yeah,
we are going to edit this in our version of the podcast that we release.
All right. Okay. So we're all ready?
yeah.
Hell yeah, let's go.
All right. So I'll count down from 5 and then podcast mode. 5, 4, 3, 2.
Welcome to the Gold Split Podcast.
And welcome back to the Gold Split Podcast. My name is CCNeverender, and I'm here with my co-host, SquidBird.
Hey, what it do?
Hey, we have our special guest today, Puncayshun.
Hi.
Hi.
We are actually live right now on Puncayshun stream.
This is our
What
first
an
attempt.
honor.
Yeah, this is our first attempt at a live podcast.
Very amazing start right there. It wasn't slightly awkward at all.
Yeah, thank you for allowing us to be a bit more professional with production here, and actually having a very nice layout with splits and everything. You know, it's the Gold Split Podcast after all.
Yeah, it's got the input display, the gameplay, donation goal. It's got everything.
It's pretty epic. Band Paracusia, 42%, almost there.
That was like all from Glad Jonas too.
It's a
So,
lofty goal.
for those of you listening that don't know who Puncayshun is, he is the second place holder of the 120 star category in Super Mario 64, as well as recently getting 4th place in 70 with a 70 star PB during a tournament with GSA. And that was against Benji, right?
It was against Benji 64. I haven't retimed it, but on Live Split it said 48:08, and I'm usually pretty good at like when I start and stop my timer. So that's probably what it is.
Nice.
Yeah. So speaking of the tournaments, you recently won the Triple Bingo tournament,
I don't know how. No one saw that coming.
as well as landing 2nd place in the 70 star tournament and earlier this year, the 120 star tournament. So congrats on all that. Let's just jump into some SM64 stuff. What got you into running Super Mario 64? Let's take it back.
I believe the beginning of it was my brother was watching streams on Twitch before me, and he told me about a streamer named Giano. I'm sure you guys know who Giano is. He's really old school runner. He used to speedrun SM64, and I think when he was running it, he was like one of the best at the game or something. But yeah, ultimately, like my brother got me into the stream, and then I just looked at the gameplay of SM64, and I just thought it looked really like fast and fun and technical, and I just like tried it for myself on emulator, and the rest is pretty much history. Like I just got hooked on it.
So did you play SM64 before that, or was that your first exposure to it?
When I was a kid, I played SM64. I have no idea if I got all 120 stars. I believe I was like sharing a file with my brother, and we got different stars. I have another memory where this is maybe not very long before I started speedrunning the game. I just remember doing like a casual playthrough. I think I was just getting 120 stars. I was probably like around the age of 16 or so. So basically before speedrunning, a few like casual playthroughs.
Okay, and so you've been running the game for a while. You've had world record a number of times. And so where do you see yourself now in 2018, closing out the year? How do you feel about your progress and your future in the game?
I think up to this point, I've accomplished a lot, but I feel like for this year and like the previous year or two, I definitely haven't been doing like too great in my opinion. Especially this year, like this is the first time since I've picked up 120 star where I'm pretty much going to go an entire year without improving my 120 star PB. I would definitely say the main reason for that is because I just like I obviously haven't done many runs. I spent a decent amount of time just like updating my strats in various places, and that just makes the run become harder and harder, and just me getting used to all these strats and just me not doing runs. It's really not surprising that I like haven't gotten a 120 star PB. Hopefully in 2019 I at least at least improve my 120 star PB once. That would literally be better than 2018. I mean, at least in 2018, I clutched out some like easy 70 star PBs because my 4820 was like 2 years and a half old. I think a little over that. So obviously, like it didn't take much effort to beat my 4820 since I've just improved so much more at the game since I achieved that time.
Right on. And that 70 run that you had before, that used to be world record at some point, right?
That is correct. I believe what happened is I got the 4820, and then I said something to Zaya that like kind of pissed him off, and then he basically he did some 70 star and beat my world record, and I to this day I still don't know if that was like purely because of what I said or he wanted to do it anyways. But yeah, I don't know how long I had the 4820 was the world record. I think what happened is I got 4835, which is world record, and then I lowered it to 4820. And that was a world record until Zaya beat me. And the next world record after that was Cheese. And then I think Cheese lowered it to the 4734, which still is today's world record.
So you mentioned earlier that you were updating your strats in 2018. How do you feel that has been going? Do you think it's worth all the time and effort that you put into it? Because if I remember correctly, you mentioned to me earlier that you used to play purely for consistency, and then around this year you started actually taking strats or updating strats rather more seriously and trying to incorporate them into your runs.
Yeah, so pretty much what happened is I've just slowly been getting out of the mindset where I have to play like purely for consistency, because if you want to, this is just like a cold hard fact pretty much, but the more optimized the world records get, I feel like the further behind you'll fall if you just played for consistency. Like when you're competing against someone like Cheese, like you I would say that you have to update your movement if you want to compete with them, because eventually what's going to happen is if you don't update your strats and he keeps on getting faster and faster, he's eventually going to get like a world record that will be like ridiculously hard for you to beat because you're just too much slower, and the amount of mistakes you can get away with is just too like little. And this is just for speedrunning in general. If you want to push the game further and further, like in order to do that, you have to continually like update your movement in general. It's just like that's just how you progress world records in this game. You just have to like keep up to date with the meta. You don't want to fall behind, and I felt like I was falling behind, so I started updating things, and it's been a slow process for me, but I think what's important is that I have been updating strats, and in 2019, I hope that I update a lot more and can develop consistency and get some sick times.
Yeah, you don't want to become stale. Like the idea of like things are the same. I don't know. I don't know what I'm trying to say here. Like obviously, if new things have been developed, you need to start incorporating new things because whenever you don't change, that's when you get, uh, you know, lapped. I don't know I don't know what word I'm looking for here, but you get passed up. You know?
Yeah.
If you fall behind because I guess I remember listening to a Melee podcast or something about that where the idea of like if you become complacent with one aspect, that's like one thing that someone else can do to get better than you. So it's like, how do I beat Puncayshun, right? So it's like, okay, well, I can save like 1 second or half a second here, you know. So then they start doing that, and they master that, and then the next thing they master every other strat that you do, and then now they're beating you with that new strat. So the
Yeah.
idea is that you have to update, you have to incorporate all the newest and all the best things in order to stay ahead of the game, because otherwise, the things that you let slide are the things that are going to be your downfall in the end.
Yeah, precisely.
So the Mario community has been evolving a lot recently, I would say. And do you feel like the competition is getting more fierce, or do you feel like it's the same old guard uh, that are keeping the top spots at the top level, or do you have anyone on the horizon that is up and coming that could possibly take world record at some point soon?
Let me try and think. This year, like pretty recently, there were a few good runners who are they're probably not done forever, but they're like they're on like hiatus at least. Like Lunar Jump, Triforce TK, Game Shark and 64. I think there is someone else. Ouija, as far as I know, hasn't been really active either. And I can like relate to that pretty hard because like I have been around for a really long time. Like in fact, in just around 15 days from now will be roughly 7 years. My 7 year SM64 anniversary, which is kind of insane.
That is a long time, yeah.
Yeah. And obviously, since I've been around for so long and I've been running this game for so long, I've taken like more than a handful of breaks, like for sure. I have a really high amount of downtime, and I can totally understand why these other people are just like taking breaks because running this game a lot can be like pretty stressful, and it's like a really hard game. As for like up and comers, I mean, pretty much like Purakusia, I would say. I think a lot of people don't really realize that he has world record capable movement. He just needs consistency. But if he can like develop a lot of consistency in 2019, then he would totally be world record capable. And it's like totally possible he could get the 120 record in 2019. And I kind of forgot how to say his name. Ikori or Ikori or whatever. Parakusi was like getting triggered earlier because of how I was pronouncing it, but he's a Japanese runner who actually recently tweeted out his progress in this game this year, and his progress is insane. Like he went from like he got like a 48 this year, and he got like whatever his 120 start time is, and he's like grinding the game a lot and getting these good stage RTA times. He's been on the rise for sure, so he's another player to look out for in 2019. We also have, like Exile Prince mentioned in my chat, Batora has been fairly active in 120 star. He updated a lot of his movement, and at this rate, like with me and Cheese not really grinding 120, people should not be surprised if we see Batora getting the 120 record. Like fairly soon because he is world record capable.
And Batora actually came off of a hiatus, right?
Yeah,
He took a break for a while.
I think he took a break for a while, and then like he was updating a lot of things offline, and very recently he returned to doing 120 star runs. And if you watch him play, like you can tell he's updated some things, and his sum of best is getting lower. Like he has pretty good potential, but I think because he streams on Nico instead of Twitch, I feel like not many people even mention him, even though that he's literally bigger than Siglemic was. He's literally bigger on Nico than Siglemic was back in the day.
Oh wow,
Which is pretty nutty. When it comes to other up and comers, Wycon has been improving fast. We also have Liam Keynes. Liam Keynes improved very fast, but he's been kind of on hiatus for a while recently for some reason. I think it's a combination of like him moving and losing motivation. I think recently he has been playing the game again, though.
It seems like a common theme is that a lot of these top runners take breaks.
Yeah,
and I personally think that it's necessary at some point to sort of stop what you're doing and kind of like take a moment to breathe. Do you think it's important to like pace yourself when it comes to speed running, or do you can you recall someone that would grind just like very often, like daily even, that got really far? Or would you say as well that taking breaks is just something that you have to do sometimes?
I think if you're like speed running whatever game it is that you're playing, if you reach a point where when you speed run it, you feel like you're completely miserable and you're kind of like forcing yourself to play or something. I mean, I think that's a good time to take a break. I'm sure like most of us know this, but when Siglemic was getting good, Siglemic grinded this game like a shitload, and that's kind of, you have to grind this game a shitload to like be world record capable. And what did Siglemic do? He grinded his ass off, and he was like by far the best player back in the day. So maybe like I would say the more you can grind without feeling like you're forcing yourself or anything like that, the better. But if you do eventually feel like you need a break, then go ahead and take it. Like sometimes people say that when you take a break and you come back to the game, you come back stronger. Like there's been some times where like cheese it's happened to Cheese. I know it's happened to Cheese where he took a break for a while and he came back and he was playing really well. Like he was playing like he was on fire. And it can be beneficial for sure.
there's definitely something to it where like I know for me personally, I feel like sometimes I take a break and I come back to it. I'm like, oh, I have a fresh perspective on things. You know, I'm not sort of stuck in my old habits. I can think clearly now. I can play the way I know I'm supposed to be playing instead of like kind of falling into muscle memory when I'm not supposed to. But yeah, taking a break is definitely a big deal. Mainly, I think I see a lot of people who just grind and grind and grind and grind and grind until they hit these goals. But for me personally, when I lose the motivation to do something, it's like it becomes a chore, and then I hate doing it. Then I become miserable, and that's really no way to spend your time, especially if you like the game. You know, like there's just some games out there where you're like, I love this game, that's why I speedrun it every day. You know, I don't want to hate this game, so it's like, you know what, I'm just going to put it on the shelf for a little bit, and we're going to come back to it because you can always come back to it.
Yeah, I agree, because breaks really give you that time to sort of reflect and just really see what you've achieved, and like kind of not actively but sort of passively like think of a game plan on like when you come back, like what you can improve. And whenever you form a lot of bad habits during runs, like it becomes muscle memory, and sometimes like just having a good sort of reset to where like you kind of learn the game again, but with like a fresh perspective and like a fresh set of motivation. It could really definitely help you for sure.
That was one thing that didn't really enter my mind when I was speaking. During a break, you can like work on your mindset a lot. Like I didn't really think about that. That could be like another benefit to taking a break, because if you're like speedrunning and you feel kind of miserable or whatever, then I would say that could damage your mindset because of how you're just like feeling when you're speedrunning the game. And perhaps just like taking a break will also help you like strengthen your mindset.
Yeah, so while we're on that topic, if anyone has seen your Twitter recently, you've had a few posts about mindset. What are some things that you have been doing or trying to do to improve your mindset when it comes to running the game?
I guess for my recent tournament matches, when I went into them, I just had a little more confidence than I did before. Like in my race versus Benji 64, I didn't say this to anyone before the race, but I told myself that I was going to get a 48 in that race. And I told myself that I was gonna, kick his ass, and maybe that did help me. Like maybe that is partially the reason why I got a 48.08, because I just went into it with confidence. My mindset is just it's kind of like a mystery to me. Like I don't know how big of a difference it actually makes. Like there's no way I could say that, oh, I got 48.08 because of my mindset. Maybe it helped to some degree, but I can't really say if it was the reason completely.
Also, possibly could have been that you happen to be in a good mood and you just kind of rode that wave.
I don't know. It kind of feels like when I play like, I don't know, SM64 or like Melee or something, like how well I actually play just seems, I don't know if there's like science behind it or something, but how I play just seems kind of random. Like it literally feels like I just pick up the controller and I just like try to focus, and then I just see if I actually play well. It's kind of weird in that it feels like I kind of, in a way, don't really have control over it. Like there are things you can do, like you can focus on your gameplay and you can do actual practice, but even if you do both of those things, you can still play like really poorly. Like in my first race versus D whatever in Grands, I thought I played super poorly, and I thought I was definitely practiced enough for it. Like I practiced for like 1 to 2 hours before those races, and just like the things I would fail during that race, I would get like, every time in practice and stuff like that. And I don't know what it is. I mean, it's like literally impossible to play like a god every time you play. Like I just feel like you just do what you can and just kind of hope you play well, and maybe like having a strong mindset.
All right, so you mentioned tournaments again, and I wanted to ask about your opinion on sort of the rise of tournaments and their presence in the community. We have groups like GSA that have been popping up, hosting these tournaments, and esports in general is starting to become a bigger part of speedrunning. So again, I just want to know, like, what are your thoughts on it, and do you feel like it's a good thing, a bad thing? Like, what do you like, what do you not like?
I can't really think of any like actual downsides to it. I mean, I think it's really cool that there's like active, like fairly active tournaments, and you know for the longest for forever with SM64 specifically, probably with games in general, they're just like actual tournaments and stuff. There were not many of them. Like every once in a blue moon for SM64. I'm just going to talk about SM64 because this is all I really know about, I guess.
Right.
for like the longest time, there'd be like an occasional tournament being held for like 70 star or something, but it almost never happened, and there certainly wasn't any like kind of prize pool for it. I think there being like more tournaments is I personally think it's really cool. Like it's pretty like stressful to like compete in them, but it's pretty cool to actually do them. And the fact that there's like also prize pools included also makes it more of a possibility for streamers to like make a living off of this kind of stuff. And ask him about emulator. I don't think I want to talk about that right now. Yeah, I don't know. I just kind of think it's cool and can't really think of any downsides to it. And I think the tournaments are ran pretty well. Like they're for like each round, there you have like a deadline, and it gets people like scheduling their matches pretty soon. And that the actual tournaments end on the actual date that it's scheduled to end. So it's like
Yeah, they're run on time.
I would say it's like actually fairly professional. Like it, I want to say that it's really ran poorly. Even though that I did complain about this in the 70 star tournament. I thought the seating was like pretty silly because I wasn't the only one who thought this, but the main problem I had with the seating is I faced Cheese in round 2 in the tournament, and a lot of people like just didn't agree with that, myself included. But it ended up being fine because I kicked Cheese's ass just like I did in Triple Bingo. It was like revenge, I guess, for him beating me in the 120 star tournament.
Personally, as far as the tournament stuff goes, the only real downsides I can see are there's 2 things I can think of off the top of my head. I'm not sure if I like the whole betting thing. Like I think GSA recently partnered with Vi.gg, which I have never heard of before, but I've been told it's a betting site. So it seems a little weird when you put money on the line. It there kind of brings up the possibility of what's the word, racketeering or
Throwing races and stuff.
yeah, fixing matches and stuff like that, which I don't think people would do, but it does kind of open up the possibility. The other thing that I think is a little weird is I remember reading it in like a Reddit post or something like that, but the idea that speedrunning is generally a collaborative public experience where you find a strat and then everyone does the strat. And in competitive stuff like this, you're almost encouraged to withhold strats. So if you find something that's faster, you don't tell anybody and you only show it during the tournament, and then you win the tournament that way. I don't know. That it seems like it can potentially be bad for the community.
That seems for like pretty well developed games like SM64. There is like no way that could actually happen in the tournament because like first of all, like when new strats are discovered in this game, like or like lag reductions, those are like always shared. And when that stuff is discovered, they usually save like a second or something. So
yeah,
at least for SM64, there's not going to be some runner who busts out the strat that's literally never been seen before.
Yeah, like for SM64, you're absolutely right. Like that's likely not an issue.
Yeah, I can see that being the case for a game that's
developed well.
Yeah, exactly. Like
Odyssey is getting a world record every week, so Odyssey could be potential for that. But
yeah, I wouldn't know too much about that.
I don't follow it, but I see world records every once in a while.
I also wanted to talk about the betting thing. I have always thought that was kind of weird, and I was kind of personally like against it, but I didn't really say anything about it. I don't know. I don't really like it going in like a betting direction, and I think someone like throwing a race because like someone messaged them about it kind of feels inevitable at this point. It seems like it'd be really easy for that to happen. I certainly like wouldn't do that, but I think someone else would eventually do it. But there's just something about betting with like speedrunning races that it just doesn't really sit well with me, I guess.
Yeah, it feels dirty. a little bit, at least in my opinion. So, I mean, I'm
Yeah.
curious to see how it plays out. You know, I'm curious to see how it develops and if it becomes a normal thing and we don't even think about it, or if it becomes like a big deal. You know,
I mean, for SM64, it seemed fine, and they actually contributed to the prize pool like a lot.
that is the big benefit, is that by adding a company like that, you get an extra prize pool and a little more promotion and stuff like that.
Yeah, that I'm pretty sure that was like the main reason that they sponsored us, or like we let that happen, because they contributed to the prize pool a lot. And like honestly, like if no one throws races, then I guess it's like pretty whatever. But I just kind of don't like the idea of that being a possibility, because like if some runner throws a race, if they can do it in a way that doesn't look like it was on purpose, then no one would like actually know, because the runner could just literally say, "Oh, I just played poorly," and you can't really like argue against that, because people play poorly all the time.
Yeah, or like, oh, I messed up cannon lists or whatever. It's like, oh, that's kind of a tough trick. That one's kind of weird. You know, sometimes you just don't get a wall kick. You know, it's like, oh, he threw it. Then that's where it does get a little fuzzy. Is that it's like, what if someone just plays really shitty? And then someone's like, hey, I think he's fixing the match. Ban him. Get him. Ah. You know, it kind of opens up this weird loophole of like, if you play too bad, maybe the mob comes after you. I don't know. That's one of the reasons why I don't really like the idea. But again, we'll just wait and see how it plays out. We're talking about a lot of what ifs here.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's a lot of hypotheticals going on.
Yeah, and so far nothing bad has actually happened or come of this. So it's like just kind of wait and see.
Not that we know of, anyways. It's totally possible
Yeah,
someone
exactly.
do a race.
It's, again, entirely possible.
But yeah, I definitely agree that, you know, despite, you know, these 2 points that CC brought up, the tournaments are a good thing. You know, getting exposure for the speedrunning community is awesome, and, you know, inspiring people to pick up the game and try to actually play it competitively and take it seriously. I think it's definitely a benefit to the community as a whole. I wanted to go into some other territory now and talk about your AGDQ run coming up. You're actually doing Bomberman 64. How did you even get into speedrunning that game?
To this day, I still think it's wild that I've done as many speedruns of that game as I have. Like, there is something about it that I don't know. It could be a pure like nostalgia thing. It's like it's hard to say. So when I originally picked it up, I had no idea that it's actually has a lot of RNG to it, and it's like, because of the fact that any percent is as short as it is, and the fact that you can literally lose like 20 plus seconds at a single boss fight from pure RNG, which would totally kill your run, assuming your time is like fairly optimized. It definitely has its flaws. I don't fully remember how I got into it. I think I just wanted something on the side that wasn't gonna be super time consuming, that didn't look very difficult. And Summer Games this year, Widely Raccoon was there. He's like basically the best runner of that game, and he actually taught me how to do NA%, which I thought was super cool. And
Nice.
after my AGDQ run, I'm definitely going to do some shout outs, and I'm going to give him a shout out. I don't know, I guess this is how I got into it, and I guess I specifically picked that game because I remember playing it as a kid and just thought it would be cool.
So learning Bomberman 64, since you already have, you know, a lot of experience speedrunning Mario 64, was there anything that you could take from that experience into Bomberman that caught your attention? Like, you noticed that, oh, like learning something like this is a lot easier because I've been speedrunning Mario for this long.
Now that I actually can, like, if Bomberman 64 was my very first game to speedrun, I wouldn't have anything to compare it to. I couldn't talk too much about its difficulty. Since I've been playing SM64 for years, like, Bomberman 64 definitely feels like a complete joke compared to this game, and when it comes to difficulty. I don't know if that's just because the game itself is like really easy, or I just improved really fast at it.
I mean, you are a god gamer, right? So
I got a gamer with no world records, but that's a different story. I believe Lively Raccoon commented on how fast I was improving. I believe I got sub 25 within like a month, or like less than a month, and I think he said that was pretty nutty. I guess I have been improving fast in that game. Like I honestly haven't practiced it much at all. It's just the game just kind of I just honestly didn't find it difficult. Like just doing what you have to do in a speed run, it just kind of clicked with me, I guess. And granted, I'm not doing like the most optimal strats everywhere. Like there's a couple big optimizations I'm not doing, but everything else just doesn't really feel that difficult. Like the movement's very simple.
Yeah, and I know that your biggest gripe with the game is the RNG. Is there anything else that you don't like the game? And on the opposite end, what do you love about the game? What makes you enjoy playing it as a speedrun?
That feeling you asked me what I enjoy about speedrunning it, I kind of don't know what to say. I guess I like how short it is, and the bomb jumps are like, honestly, it's like it's a cool mechanic because
yeah, for sure, the movement looks really cool.
Not only does the movement look cool, but what I find really, really cool about it is that literally in the credits for the game, you see these bomb jumps being used, and that's like an actual mechanic that the developers like wanted you to use when it kind of looks like it's like a big glitch that you're not supposed to do, but it's actually like fully intentional. I think that's like super cool. And yeah, like RNG is like the biggest flaw with the game for sure. And I guess that's all I have to really say about it. And it's just like nice and chill. It's like a really chill game to speedrun. It doesn't feel very stressful. That's another good thing about it. It's like easy to pick up and not time consuming.
Yeah, it's good to have variety, especially in your catalog.
Yeah,
like especially for you because you play SM64, which is like super time consuming, super frustrating, super intensive. It's like, you know what I need? I need a break. I still want to speedrun. I still want to play games. I still want to stream. What can I do that's like, that's something that's like chill and something that's not crazy intensive? Like are there any like frame perfect tricks or anything like that in Bomberman or
frame perfect? I mean, maybe that big optimization I don't do on Red Mountain 3 is frame perfect. I don't do that strat. That strat saves like 10 to 15 seconds, which is like that's huge in a category that's short.
Yeah.
I'm almost positive it's considered to be like the hardest trick in the entire run, at least for any percent. I can't speak too much about it because I don't do it myself. I just know that it's like apparently really hard. But besides that, I can't. There's some really precise positioning for the bomb jumps, like White Glacier 1. Just like a few seconds into the level, you do like a bomb jump, but that one, for example, like the positioning is super precise. Like if you place your first bomb like a tad too far to the left or a little too far to the right, just like a little bit, then it won't work. So not like frame perfect, but there's some really tight positioning for a few parts.
Okay.
So not only did you learn Bomberman 64, but you've also took a stab at Bomberman Hero. And if I remember correctly, you said you enjoyed that run more.
I think Bomberman Hero is a better speedrun, yeah.
What do you think is better about it than Bomberman 64? Like, how different is it, and what's the run like?
Well, it's like an actual platformer, and SM64 is a platformer, so I guess naturally that's like kind of why I like it more. But not only that, it has very little RNG. Like I don't play. I'm not even close to being at a top level in that game, so I can't really speak to that. But you can't. I don't at least at like a lower level, you can't really lose runs to RNG. Shadows of Mist is speedrun, by the way.
I love the run to RNG, dude. What?
I forgot you have that.
I like how it started out at the same time as like you started saying it. I thought you were about to like say it like right alongside it. That was kind of cool.
You caught me off guard. I would have been out of sync with it at some point.
All right. So outside of speedrunning, you also play Melee a lot. And I know CC probably has some questions for you about Melee since he also plays Melee. So I'll throw it over to CC for this.
How long have you been playing Melee? Like what I guess I was not as prepared for this as I thought I was.
I kind of put you on the spot.
You did put me on the spot. Have you played any other Smash games, or are you mainly just a Melee guy?
When I was a kid, I played Smash 64 with my brother for sure. It was probably, I would imagine, that was my first Smash game.
Right.
When Melee came out, I played that like a ton. I played a ton of Melee.
Same
as well. Pretty much every Smash game that's came out, I've played at least a little bit.
What about Ultimate?
I haven't played too much Ultimate. I put around 10 hours roughly into Ultimate at this point. Smash 4, I probably only played like 8 hours. Like I did not care much for Smash 4. In the little amount of time I played Ultimate, it feels just like moving around and stuff feels a lot better than Smash 4. And I guess I should also mention Brawl. I played quite a bit of Brawl. I definitely played more Brawl than Smash 4, but obviously, like, Brawl is far from my favorite Smash. Like, Melee is probably always going to be my favorite Smash, but
yeah,
if I had to pick a second favorite, I guess it would be Ultimate.
Yeah, I think I'm in the same boat as you. I do love Melee. And I don't think we'll ever get a Melee 2, you know what I mean? So I'm glad that Ultimate turned out pretty good. There's still a couple things that bother me, like the input buffer is in the delay and stuff is really, really frustrating sometimes. But beyond that, I feel like a lot of the characters play really well. A lot of the characters are balanced. Like even Zelda is actually like not shit, right? So it's good to see that like a lot of the characters are getting better representation. They all play really well, and I'm interested to see how the metagame turns out. But for what it's worth, I think that Ultimate is actually a pretty decent Smash game compared to 4 and Brawl and stuff. Like I think they really kind of brought it all together to make the ultimate Smash game, which is, I guess, their goal and the reason they called it that. But I think they really did a good job with it.
You did say that Zelda's not shit, but like the game is super new, and Zelda could end up being super shit, and
you're not wrong.
It could end up like not being a very balanced game, but it's just like it's way too early to make a claim like that, I guess.
Okay, I guess like in the grand scheme of the metagame, you're correct. I'll give you that. Where it's too early to tell who's really going to be on top, and obviously there's going to be a tier list that comes out. But
dude, like every day these like top Smash 4 players are playing Ultimate and coming out with some new tier list.
Leffen had a day 1 tier list, and it's like Falco's the number 1 player. He's the best character of all time. It's like, nah, Falco's kind of shit. His Dare is finally better, but it's not as good as Melee. It'll never be as good as Melee. Who do you play in Melee, by the way? Who's your main?
Marth.
Okay. I'm a Falco main. I'm a fucking degenerate.
Falco and Sheik are my top 2 worst matchups.
Hell yeah,
probably.
Dude.
All right, I think since we have the opportunity to do so, if anyone in the chat has some questions for Punkay, go ahead and send them in now, and we'll pick a few.
While we're waiting on that, though,
I actually have one right here that I want to ask Punkay. This is from Red Donuts. It's, what size diaper do you wear?
Probably the biggest size available to like contain all of the spillage when I play this game.
Vitor asks, where should we send our bits?
You're welcome to send any amount of bits to CCNeverender or Squid_Bird.
Or my stream.
Or that one.
Olavi Polavi is asking, what is the future for SM64 speedrunning in the next 2 to 3 years? I think we kind of touched upon that, but you can go ahead and expand on it if you'd like.
I kind of like that question. God, 2 to 3 years from now, I kind of don't think I would be speedrunning still. That would be crazy. That'd be crazy if I'm still speedrunning this game by like my 10-year anniversary.
That'd be insane.
That would be insane.
I mean, you're already 7 years in. You're almost there.
It's like I'm trying to think of what the times would look like. It's very hard to say. I guess I can talk about what I think is going to happen in 2019. In 2019, if you guys don't know, there's a speedrunner named Aki. He's like a 15-year-old Japanese dude. Maybe he's like 14. I don't know exactly, but he's been a dedicated 16-star grinder for like, I don't know when he started. Like I know I discovered him like this year. Maybe he's been doing it since like 2017. I don't really know about that either, but he has a current world record, which is 15:08, and he wants to get sub 15. And because of how like dedicated of a grinder he is, I definitely think at least he will get sub 15 in 2019. I think sub 15 is absolutely happening in 2019 because like it's possible to do that right now, and just like lowering the world record by at least 9 seconds over the course of a whole year. Like, how is that not going to happen? I totally think it's going to happen. And when it does happen, it's going to be insane. For a long time, probably no one thought that, sub 15 was actually going to happen. People say that kind of stuff all the time. I'm guilty of it myself, where they say that a specific time is never going to happen, and then it ends up happening. Like, I said that about I would say a 140 or a 141, and now it's possible to get a mid or low 138, which I guess I'll talk about that now. I would say the 120 world record in 2019 is going to be lowered to like at least a mid 138, in my opinion. For 70 star, I think a 46 will possibly happen. If not, then a really low 47. But 2 to 3 years, like 2020, 2021, I have no clue. I have no clue what any of the times would be, but I think the times that I think will happen in 2019 will be pretty accurate, and I can like realistically see those happening. Except maybe the 46 and 70 star, because that's like really insane.
Yeah, that's really insane.
I guess to sort of, instead of turning away from time specifically, who do you think is going to be in like the top 5 who isn't even in the top 10 right now? Like, who do you think is going to be a big up and comer in the next couple years, assuming that they stick with it?
Whitecon, because he's been improving fast. Liam Keynes. Pretty much the people I mentioned earlier. Like,
yeah, you did mention a lot of people.
I would say the people I mentioned earlier, like, could definitely be world record contenders in the future, assuming they keep on grinding.
Anybody you expect to retire permanently?
I don't know. Like, permanent retires, or like, I don't know how to feel about this. I feel like whenever someone says that they're going to like quit the game forever, this feels like they almost always like eventually make a return. But in my opinion, I think every speedrunner who's known for whatever game that they're known for is like they're eventually going to reach a point where they just don't want to speedrun it anymore. Like, for example, I can't picture myself speedrunning this game when I'm 40 years old, for example. I think there's no way that's going to happen.
Yeah.
Like maybe when I'm around that age, I would like make some random return and see like how my speedrunning ability would be just out of curiosity. But I don't think I would ever make like a serious return and like, you know, try to compete for world records again. But anyone I can think of who might permanently retire, it's a hard question. I mean, I really don't know. Like maybe Benny after 47, but considering the fact that Benny like since like 2013 or whatever has been grinding this game a shitload, I can't really like picture him like actually retiring anytime soon. It seems like he's always grinding.
He did mention he wants to try 120, right?
The thing about that is that there's been multiple times where he's like said or he said he was gonna try 120 and he never did, or he actually did try 120 and he had like no success with it or just didn't care, and then he went back to 70. So after he gets to 47, I would not be surprised. And in fact, I'm gonna make a prediction here. I'm gonna say that he's going to get a 47. He's gonna take a break, like he said. He's gonna do some 120. He's not gonna like it, and then he's gonna go back to 40 or 70 star, because this kind of seems like a cycle with him. This is my prediction. I think this is gonna happen.
He has to remind himself why he hates 120 star. He forgets
that
after
as
a while.
fuel.
I'll give it another chance. I'll give it a shot, and then it's like, oh yeah, I forgot I hate this.
All right, but I think that's pretty good for all the questions. We do have one final question from CCNeverender.
CCNeverender wants to know, what's your deal?
What's my deal?
What's your deal, dude?
I'm so confused.
Yes.
My deal is
I want you to
yes.
answer that question as ever you see fit.
I love Benny.
He loves Benny. There you go. That's his deal.
That's excellent.
All
All
right.
right.
I'm asking that question because it throws people off guard. It's like an aggressive question, but I'm just like, what's your deal, dude?
Yes.
Yes, we love Benny. Yes, we can.
Fucking love Benny. But yeah, so thanks, Punk A, for having us on your stream and for doing the podcast.
Hopefully we were professional enough. We don't have a layout, but you know.
I thought it was enjoyable.
Excellent.
By the way, Paracusia wanted to be on the podcast. He was like, I was gonna call him earlier. He was like pretty much on the verge of tears. He's like, why are you on the podcast? I want to be on the podcast.
So we're gonna have we're planning on having Paracusia next, actually. So I was gonna message him after this and get that set up.
If he's down, maybe he won't
Sure.
shit talk our low effort podcast.
Yeah, that'd be nice. Not having to deal with that before going live. But anyway, Punk A, do you have any shout outs or plugs, like your Twitter, your Twitch, anything like that? Well, obviously, whoever's watching knows your Twitch, but for those who are listening.
Follow my Twitch, twitch.tv/Puncayshun, and you absolutely do not have to do this, and you might be better off not doing this because you could be scarred for life, but at your own risk, consider following me on Twitter, and shoutouts to PPMD.
Craig has him.
And you can find me at twitch.tv/squid_bird. Twitter is @YouGotMad. My SoundCloud is SquidBird. So if you like what you heard in the beginning, you can go check that out. CC.
Yeah, you can check me out on twitch.tv/CCNeverender. You can follow me on Twitch. You can follow me on Twitter. I don't use Twitter a whole lot, but you can keep up with me there. You can also check out my YouTube channel called Speed Docs. I do speedrunning documentaries there.
And that's where the podcast is going to be uploaded.
The podcast is going to be on youtube.com/c/speeddocs, or just Google Speed Docs. Find out.
But yeah. So once again, thanks for having us, man.
Yeah.
And we'll catch y'all next time.
Thanks for hosting us on your channel.
No problem.
Yeah. All right. And outro. Da-da-da-da-da-da-da.